Hi, I'm Dan Ciamatero, writer and artist of Snot-Ball Comics. Every year I enjoy countless hours of holiday, Christmas time entertainment. Why, you ask? Why does anybody do anything? Why do you ask so many questions? This year, as my special gift to the interwebs, I'm counting down my top 10 faves in 4 distinct categories. So, dust off those cookies and milk, fire up that Yule log, and remember, these here are my picks. So if you don't like them, you could go suck an egg. And now,
Snot-Ball Comics presents a Snot-Ball Christmas Countdown. Volume 1, the episodes.
What's a Christmas?
What's a Christmas?
admittedly, this first pick is a bit of a cheat. What with it being an episode of a television show that doesn't technically exist. Having said that, it has most definitely earned its place on my list as a pitch-perfect parody of a mid-90s comedy that is infinitely more entertaining than any of the crappy shows it aims to satirize.
That's too much, man!
After all, why should anybody have to gag their way through another sickly sweet celebration at the Full House when they could get the same plot points and a better laugh track from a show that actually has respect for their intelligence? As a TGIF-style comedy, the Horsin Around segments smuggle in just the right amount of cynical realism to keep everything compelling. As a compendium to the main continuity, the BoJack Horseman scenes lighten things up with a much-needed dose of seasonal sentimentality.
Hey, this is nice, right? No!
And as a holiday staple, it's surprisingly lighthearted fun for devotees and newcomers alike, and a must-watch for any fans of the television sitcom.
Special holiday episodes are always stupid. Cynical cash grabs by greedy corporations looking to squeeze a few extra Nielsen points out of sentimental claptrap for mushbrain idiots who'd rather spend their Christmas watching a fake family on TV than actually trying to have a conversation with their own dumb families.
Who's Santa?
Who's Santa? You don't know who Santa is?
When I first discovered this little gem 20 years ago at the Best Buy, I couldn't wait to tear off its cellophane wrapper and fling it into my PlayStation 2. And I can tell you that it did not disappoint. Now don't get me wrong, this muscle-bound masterpiece doesn't have all the power. The so-called Beast Monster is a bit of a slog, and the Manchines suck harder than Kirby on shore leave.
They don't call him Zipper for nothing.
But there's still plenty of awkward hijinks in this weird-ass nonsense to make up for any dry spots. Presumably produced by human beings, some of which likely to have celebrated at least one Christmas between them. This neurotic claptrap had seemingly no idea how to integrate the concept into its syndicated sword and sorcery fantasy world of laser barbarians in space, much to the viewer's bewildered delight. In one moment, it nervously avoids singing Jingle Bells, a song that at the time was definitely in the public domain. In the next, it marches right up to the line of Saturday Morning Taboo, getting dangerously close to name-dropping our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
And the 3 wise men followed the star until they finally reached Bethlehem. Ah, what a beautiful story.
But of course, the true bright spot of this here schizophrenic flim-flam comes when Skeletor, the evil despotic warlord who's bedeviled our hero over many an afternoon snack time, risks his very life in defiance of his own wicked master as an act of heroic kindness for 2 doughy-eyed children and their robot puppy. The following moment of frustrated self-reflection is enough to make this a holiday classic to last throughout the ages.
Well, I think you're feeling the Christmas spirit, Skeletor. It makes you feel good.
Well, I don't like to feel good. I like to feel evil. Oh.
Christmas Eve, too late for letter to Santa Claus anyway, so me call him!
Snowy days is not how this episode starts. Instead, we're forced to endure these misproportioned walk-around abominations. And the less said about them, the better. And that is the last and only bad thing you're going to hear me say about this piece of awesomeness. But come on, it's Christmas on Sesame Street. It's a no-brainer. Actually, the year this aired, there were 2 Sesame Street specials. And the other one, by all accounts, sucked. But there was corporate network tomfoolery at play, and we're not getting into that here. Here we're talking about the good one, and oh boy was it good. These here are the early years, so there's plenty of alive Mr. Hooper to warm the heartstrings, and no shitty Elmo taking the spotlight away from the real Muppet stars, each one of which getting their own chance to shine. There's Grover being cute with the kids, which I always get a chuckle out of, considering what a prig Frank Oz was said to be. How do you blow Cookie Monster's mind? Try telling him what he's expected to give Santa Claus for Christmas.
Cookies!
Ernie and Bert turn in a dutifully warm and witty rendition of The Gift of the Magi, with a little help from the aforementioned alive Mr. Hooper.
I got the best Christmas present ever.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I got to see that everyone got exactly what they wanted for Christmas. Huh?
But the true star of the show, as always, is the bird, whose wide-eyed innocence the writers wisely chose to offset with a bit of edgy malice, courtesy of one Oscar T. Grouch. That's right. Every 4-year-old's favorite surly malcontent revels in challenging the giant canary and a host of real-world kids with the greatest Christmas question of all.
How does Santa Claus get down those skinny little chimneys when he's so fat?
Altogether, this one is a fun and educational Yuletide romp through the most wholesome housing project in TV Town. And it is far from the last Muppet outing that you'll be seeing on this series.
Gee, I don't know how Santa gets in.
Well, if I was you, I'd find out. Because if he doesn't get in, there's gonna be a lot of empty stockings around town tomorrow morning. Merry Christmas.
You baked?
Yeah. I made gingerbread women. Gingerbread chicks. I like it.
It's a quandary as old as television itself. How do you shoehorn a tacky Christmas motif into your rigidly formulaic weekly routine? Do you opt for the lazy Christmas Carol masquerade?
A Christmas Carol? I've always loved that story.
How's about pouring one of your sexy starlets into a series of tasteful, yet provocative holiday-themed outfits?
You little brat!
Maybe you introduce a theme of generosity by having your main character sponsor a homeless man while publicly and shamelessly lusting after his emaciated teenage daughter. Okay, maybe that one was oddly specific. But what the hell, it's Christmas. Let's do 'em all! Tell me you're never making another Christmas episode without telling me you're never making another Christmas episode. And hey, fuck it! Why don't we throw in some sick kids? Everybody loves sick kids. Hey, remember that lazy Christmas Carol idea from a while back? Do we make it a literal representation or a thinly veiled homage? Why not both? The literal will reinforce the thematic for anybody too stupid to know a Scrooge when they see one. What's that, you say? How could you possibly have time to fit all of that into a standard 22-minute time slot and still make it home in time to watch Kelly Kapowski make a Cool Whip dessert on the TikToks? Who let you in here? You're fired. We'll make it a 2-part episode, genius. Now get out. And on your way, bring me that fruitcake. I would very much like to have it and eat it too.
It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Morris.
Me too.
Bye, Zach.
So do you know what you want for Christmas yet?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I can find a box big enough for her.
I'm Bart Simpson. Who the hell are you?
I'm Jolly Old Saint Nick.
So let's get this out of the way straight off the bat. As far as this guy's concerned, this is the only Simpsons Christmas episode. But what about the one where... Fuck you? You're wrong. And for the better part of its first decade, it would seem the show agreed with me. At least until it became clear that it would be on the air for the remainder of human history. At which point, I suppose, an annual event becomes something of a requirement. And even when it did eventually return to that well, it did so reluctantly, opting for the occasional Bart-centric misadventure with a holiday backdrop over the full-fledged family Christmas celebration. And there is one very good reason for that, and that is that this episode is perfect. And I'm not saying it's the perfect Christmas show. Obviously, I don't think that, or this would be a very short list. Or even that it's the perfect Simpsons Christmas. No, what I'm saying is that it's the perfect American Christmas. And the perfect way to introduce America to its new immortal cartoon overlords. This episode, either directly or through cultural osmosis, is the very reason that we fell in love with these little yellow freaks in the first place. You see, what we couldn't possibly understand now, and didn't really seem to grasp at the time, is that what made The Simpsons different from every other family on television was how much they were like every other family in real life. And no TV sitcom ever showed a real-life family just celebrating the holiday. And trust me, I've seen them all. Every crippling blizzard or inconvenient blackout, every ghost of Christmas whatnot fever dream hallucination, every weird hobo that turns out to be Santa Claus at the end. Sure, Marge hides a jar of money in her hair, and Bart gets a tattoo. But don't be fooled. When you wash away all the colorful chaos, what you're left with is a mom with a family newsletter, a dad struggling to untangle the Christmas lights, and a 10-year-old brat pulling a beard off a fat man at the mall. Merry Christmas, America. You're on TV.
If TV has taught me anything, it's that miracles always happen to poor kids at Christmas. It happened to Tiny Tim, it happened to Charlie Brown, it happened to the Smurfs, and it's gonna happen to us.
Well, okay, let's go. Who's Tiny Tim?
There is nothing better than being in jail at Christmas. Got no fucking work chores, or book readings, or Christmas trees, or giving gifts, or fucking lights. Fuck all that bullshit.
So you've got this show. It's something of a hit. It's even got a cult following south of the border in America land. It's about these 3 fuck-ups in a trailer court, locked in a Sisyphean battle with their drunken landlord, and every episode is pretty much the same. One day, you'll have a couple of hit movies, an animated series, maybe you'll even go to space. But for now, you're just a scrappy upstart. And did I mention every episode is the same? But that's the bit. And right now, you're feeling pretty good about it. And why shouldn't you be? You're 4 seasons in, you're hitting your stride, but now it's time to address the white elephant in the room. You know it and I know it. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to make a Christmas episode.
Why not? I deserve it. I'm not an alcoholic. I just enjoy a couple of drinks at Christmas time.
But hey, there's no time like the present. So what do? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? You got a whole batch of the same old shtick with a holiday twist. A peppermint shtick, if you will. You've even got some mushy stuff, where your most lovable character learns the secret of his long-lost parents. Is that enough to make it a perennial favorite? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But you got a secret weapon. It might be something you've been saving for just such an occasion. Or maybe you just dreamed it up on the crapper this morning. But either way, it's a stroke of genius. This very special Christmas episode is gonna be a prequel. Sure, your main characters may operate in a perpetual loop, but there's no reason to shackle your wacky side characters with such restrictions. What about that white rapper guy? He's a weirdo. Maybe he used to be a nerd.
Okay, we're not idiots.
Or our heroes' 2 inseparable flunkies? What's their story? And what about the antagonist's toady/shirtless gay lover? Where the fuck did that guy come from? It might have been a funny bit in the writer's room, but now people are starting to ask questions. Well, you intend to answer those questions and more, wrapping them up in a nice little bow and creating a seasonal masterpiece in the process. For fans, this one is required viewing. For curious outsiders, an accessible on-ramp to a new favorite. For the strict Christmas viewer, it's a standalone outing unmoored from the greater narrative. And in the greater TV landscape, it's a holiday classic year after year. Not a bad bit of work for 3 foul-mouthed grifters and their greasy Canadian cul-de-sac.
You know what? I'm going to state for the record and for the Lord Almighty that I wasn't involved in that. Ricky, I'm getting out of here. This isn't what Christmas is about. Craziness and drunk Santas with old dirty grocery bags hooked to their ears.
Christmas is the time we should be thinking about what we can do for others. What we can do for others.
In light of recent revelations, it's hard to imagine that Paul Reubens was able to keep certain aspects of his personal life private after airing this little number. Considering the guest list alone is flying a flag with so many colors on it, they had to make a couple up. But what reads as a not-so-subtle wink to savvy grown-ups in the dystopian future, read as a kooky who's who of who's that to a Reagan-era grade schooler. Seriously, what 9-year-old is on the edge of his seat for Dinah Shore or Grace Jones? And just who the fuck are the Del Rubio triplets? But even to a kid, it's pretty cool to see Cher show up for the secret word. Pee-wee sure seemed to think so.
That was Cher! Cher was right there! In the same room as my chair!
And what does it matter if I know who Katie Lang is? When she turns in a performance so gleefully unhinged, I'm still waiting for her Christmas special 40 years later. But despite the litany of guest stars and their musical numbers and comedy bits, the Playhouse regulars never miss a beat. The gang's all here, from Miss Yvonne to the King of Cartoons and every Lawrence Fishburne in between. And so too are all the regular segments. We've got a penny cartoon, the food in the refrigerator. Apparently the wall dinosaurs are Jewish, I guess. And of course,
Connect the Christmas dots! La 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 la! Connect the Christmas dots! La 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 la!
which is just as pointless and unnecessary as it is present and accounted for. And at the center of all this chaos never ceding an inch of the spotlight to anybody, is the boy in the red bow tie, exuding all the bloated excess of a kid at Christmas in the me generation. Pee Wee Herman, idol to millions, turns in an effortlessly charming performance as a petulant, narcissistic bully, and is rewarded in the end with a ride on Santa's sleigh. In other words, the perfect role model for Gen X yuppie larva like me. And we loved him for it. Happy holidays, Pee Wee Herman. You will be missed.
What would you put on my Christmas list if you were me? A new car? Cooking utensils? Cash? Good idea. Always a practical gift.
Officer Barbrady!
What?
Is it illegal for Jews to eat Christmas snow?
Yes?
If you were a stoned art school reject in the late 1990s, there were two facts that you knew for sure about this new South Park thing. The first was how it started out as a noxious animated Christmas card making its way around the industry mucky mucks. And the second was that it was definitely not long for this world. There was simply no way some crudgy second-rate cable channel could possibly sustain this countercultural curiosity, with its obscure references, puerile humor, and niche audience. So when it did put out its one official Christmas episode, it was lovingly lauded as a precious holiday gem to be cherished and coveted like the mass media unicorn that it most assuredly was.
Oh, sick, dude!
As it turns out, however, pretty much everything I just said right there was total bullshit. South Park did not soon end, and as you know, went on and on ad infinitum. That fact notwithstanding, the one thing that does still remain is that one seminal episode and its special place in the annals of TV history. Obviously, this was far from the only South Park Christmas episode. In its golden era, South Park was to Christmas what the Simpsons were to Halloween, pumping out hit after hit, year after year. It is, in fact, not even my favorite South Park Christmas. That honor goes to the Woodland Critters, because of course it does. But it is my most beloved, and it is my most nostalgic. And nostalgia goes a long way at this time of year. For me at the time, having spent the last 4 years in high school dutifully self-publishing my own raunchy Christmas comics, watching these poorly produced, crappy construction paper cutouts blasted profanely across the airwaves was a life-affirming event, a validation of my own creative ethos. I had loved nothing more as a kid in this festive season than curling up by a glowing tube for my favorite holiday specials, and I would be goddamned if I was gonna outgrow them now. But here was a show assuring me, in full color, graphic, in-your-face confidence, that I had nothing to worry about, because they would be growing up with me. This was Charlie Brown for the jaded, cynical Gen X slacker. This was Rudolph and Frosty with a nose ring and a mohawk, boldly flipping me the bird. And when I curl up this year in front of that neon screen to welcome those beloved icons into my holiday home, I'll save a place beside them, as I have every year since, for an ever-cheerful lump of magical Christmas poo.
I made a mariachi, Mr. Hanky. Now it's a Mrs. Hanky. Let's put the Fez hat on him. I wish Daddy was still alive.
Mr. Hanky playset comes with everything seen here.
Oh, great. There goes the Perry Como special.
So remember all those snarky pot shots I took back in the Saved by the Bell review? Well, kindly forget all of that as I quietly eat my words for these next 2 entries. I can overlook that, you say. It's not like any of these guys can be half as obnoxious as Zach Morris. You say that, but...
On the 82nd day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 82 cats a frying, 81 cats a broiling, 80 cats a baking, 79 cats a toast.
In all fairness, though, I am being a smidge hyperbolic. This isn't exactly the kitchen sink affair we left back in Bayside. At least, it would seem, the titular alien life form is more economic with its Yuletide resources, leading to a much more enriching experience all around.
Merry Christmas.
Starting from a home, away from home, it would seem, cabin in the woods, our furry friend embarks on a literal vacation from tormenting the Tanner family. After he's haplessly whisked away to the true hub of action, the children's wing of a nearby hospital. Here, he plays out a sunrise-sunset series of melodramas, from befriending a terminal child, to aiding in the delivery of a newborn, to a It's a Wonderful Life tableau, culminating with the timely intervention in a man's attempt to unalive himself, I guess? Is that the euphemism we've agreed to? From the outset, the name of the game here is Handle with Care, in a series of deftly tactful maneuvers. The writers divert this potentially tacky and manipulative pap to a genuinely warm and rewarding exercise in empathy. Abandoning his role as the uninvited frat brother for the decidedly less caustic, cool uncle, Alf displays a level of emotional maturity rarely seen on any given Monday night in the 80s.
Dr. Shumway, if you hadn't have been here, I don't know how to thank you.
You just did. You said thank you. Merry Christmas.
Even at his worst, he's less selfish negligent and more clumsy novice with a heart of gold. As such, while initially framed as a reason for the season life lesson episode, the seemingly misunderstood alien has no hard lesson to learn at all, which allows for the more heartbreaking moments to play out as a theater of the tragically beautiful, rather than a high-stakes game of cosmic I told you so. And because the emotional payoff is earned, the show never has to abandon its comedy core. The Alfmeister throughout remains a penny ante yuck machine, cracking wise at every opportunity, confident in the knowledge that underneath the furry facade of catchphrases and one-liners lies the true meaning of Christmas. In the end, maybe the character doesn't know it, but the show that bears his name most certainly does.
St. Nicholas, Santa Claus. I just realized he's got a broad face and a round little belly. Shakes when he laughs like a bowl full of jelly.
Hey, let's not get personal. I'm gonna do something about this right after the holidays.
Is this the shirt that you're referring to? Yeah! It's covered in blood, Charlie. Santa's blood, you goddamn lunatic.
When it comes to a great Christmas episode, the name of the game is compatibility. In short, do the values of your show line up with the tropes of the season? And if they don't, will you be clever enough to effectively integrate or subvert them? For a show crafted from earnest sincerity, like Sesame Street, this is a veritable non-issue. A successful commodity like Alf is too well managed to even worry about such nonsense. And while an intentionally subversive show like South Park may initially appear to be a high-risk candidate, its proof of concept was confirmed holiday fresh before cutting the very first scrap of construction paper. So when predicting an uphill battle in this arena, the series with the highest mountain to climb was the fifth-term cable comedy stalwart, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, a show that since its inception had gleefully bucked the convention of serialized sentimentality in exchange for a chaotic weekly wonderland of nihilism, narcissism, and sociopathy. So when it came time to face that mountain, it may have seemed like a daunting peak, but they not only scaled it, they planted their flag on it and marched defiantly down the other side in time to huck rocks at trains, taking every cherished tradition down with them.
We're trying to give you the Christmas spirit here, dickhole! I don't want it! Nobody wants it, assholes!
This is a Christmas episode that knows that it's going to be an only child, and is making damn sure that you return year after year to revel in its debauchery. Does it do a Christmas Carol? You bet your ass it does, and it gets real weird with it, ripping the door right off the hinges. Does it have a Santa? Oh boy, does it. So many Santas. It even has a famous movie Santa, but we'll get back to him in another countdown. Does it have a Hail Mary Rudolph parody in the third act? It does indeed, and it knocks it right out of the park. Choo Choo Train? Check. Eggnog? Check. It even has an Omnibot for good measure. But there's nothing wrong with using every crayon in the box when you're fucking Picasso. This is a show that knows what it is and knows what it's doing. You see, there's a couple of pitfalls one might stumble into when you're a morally bankrupt show at Christmas. One is being too cool for school, overly dismissive to the point of ruin. This show doesn't do that. Having two characters who are childishly optimistic, and the other two are justifiably bitter. The other option is to go the way of the sellout, making overly hokey claptrap that threatens to destroy the brand. Again, no such trip up here. Instead, this show beautifully splits the difference right down the middle, luxuriating in its dark, petty reality, softening up just enough to share a brief moment with the season, and then sharply dropping the axe for a return to status quo moment for the ages. If you haven't seen this one, you should watch it. It's the very definition of understanding the assignment, and it has hilariously and unequivocally earned its #1 spot on this countdown.
Oh, here we go. How you guys feeling? You ready to do this?
I don't know, what do we do?
You just throw rocks at trains and you're gonna feel a lot better.
That's it.
Rocks. Yeah. That's it. Merry Christmas, everyone. Here we go.
Oh,
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells time and
Merry Christmas, buddy. Merry Christmas.
Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square in the frosty air.
Hey there. Thanks for watching. And Merry Christmas. If you liked it, you know what to do. All of the things. Like, share, show it to your grandma. I heard she's hot. And don't forget to tune in next week for countdown #2.